What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Yala, your thrice weekly podcast where we talk about the hottest news with a touch of what, Terrence?
The good old humor as far as we can. Yeah.
As far as we can.
As far as we can.
Important caveat.
Yeah.
Yeah. But before we get into that, how's life, man?
Pretty good. It's been busy.
Mm.
A lot of meetings, a lot of people cancelling on us also.
Was it?
Meetings, yeah. This week especially, for some reason, like 3 days in a row,
Yeah.
I think we've been like almost like stood up, right?
Yeah, it didn't even occur to me that 3 days in a row until you pointed it out just now.
Yeah, but I also blame it on, people are falling sick a lot more. There's like some COVID thing going around. And, do you know anyone who's gotten COVID recently?
I know last week, I think I heard. But technically, the 3 people who didn't make it were not due to sickness per se.
It's not COVID related.
There was work, there was travel, and
things.
the guest that was supposed to come on today.
Yeah.
We'll explain why, but yeah. So it's just 2 of us, man.
Yeah, just the 2 of us. But it's been a while since we've done an episode about current affairs, very, very current affairs.
That's true. Our last episode was with Farah and Xenia.
Yeah, the last one released was Xenia, the actresses Xenia Tan and Farah Lola came on and talked about Halloween and their paranormal experiences.
And our horror comedy podcast.
Yes.
The last episode of which is coming out when, Terrence?
This Friday, episode 10.
Episode 10.
It's time to binge, folks. You don't have to wait anymore. Everything's going to be out there by Friday.
Yeah, everything by Friday night. But yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
How about you?
My week, last night, my wife and I started on a puzzle that a friend gave us.
Uh-huh.
Kind of like
1,000 pieces.
1,000 pieces. Which, we have something in our house that we already did and we put it up on our wall. Very proud of it.
Yeah.
But then the more I did this puzzle, right, the more I realized either this person has never made a puzzle of their life, in their life, or they really want us to be discouraged.
Why? Yeah?
Because the design of the puzzle was a bunch of swimmers in the middle of like an infinite blue.
Oh, I see.
So
it's all blue and blue.
Yeah, so me and my wife, we split it up. She was focusing on the humans. I was focusing on the blue. And then at the end, I was like just staring at like 400 blue pieces.
Some more you're colorblind. You can't even tell the difference.
That's why she did the human. So there's humans, there's like bubbles, and there's blue. So I said, okay, let me work on the edges first.
Oh, okay.
So I found all the ones with flat edges. But by the end, I was like, what the fuck is this? Like, how is this a compelling puzzle?
I think that's a question. But my bigger question is, how is this a compelling activity for a couple to do on a weekday night?
Hey, don't shit. Admittedly, I think we stopped it because after a while, we were like, okay, this is more tiring than relaxing.
Okay.
The last puzzle was actually quite fun.
Okay.
Disconnect from devices.
Okay.
You spend
so that's
some
what
time
you are doing, disconnecting from
Oh,
devices.
yeah.
Okay, so no phones when doing the puzzle, is it?
No, as in you're not watching TV.
Okay.
The phones are there if a message comes up.
Yeah.
But shortly after, we were like, okay, you know what? Maybe not for a weekday night.
Oh, yeah.
Maybe for a weekday afternoon.
Life is really like a puzzle. It's so confusing.
It is a puzzle. But I was thinking more about the person who gave the puzzle. It wasn't from someone I know.
Yeah.
So yeah. So
maybe the person doesn't like you all. That's why they give you the puzzle.
Maybe.
Yeah. They just want you to fight.
What better way to take time from people's schedules than give them a puzzle that is just like it's just blue. You can't even tell the different blue.
Yeah. You can't tell the difference.
No, I check. It's just a sea of blue.
Maybe like people who are not colorblind can see the differences.
There's
nuances in
the human pieces, there's the bubble pieces, and there's the blue pieces.
Maybe if I look there, I'll be like, oh, that's obviously turquoise.
I was next to my wife who, as far as I know, is not colorblind.
Okay.
So I was just thinking like, okay, this is a brilliant puzzle. Like if you, maybe the person who bought it hasn't made a puzzle before, like with 1,000 pieces.
Yeah. So, how long do you think it'll take to fix it?
I don't know whether we're going to continue. We did all the human pieces already. But then I think it'll be a discussion whether we proceed or not.
Yeah. So shout out to that person who gave you the puzzle.
I don't know whether she listens to this podcast.
Yeah, maybe she really doesn't like you. Or she's very happy that she wasted.
Or maybe she just doesn't know.
Time.
Maybe she doesn't know that.
Maybe
for a puzzle, ideally every piece be identifiable. But life is a puzzle, man.
But puzzles are interesting. Like doing puzzles with my kid now and just watching how he figures it out. It's interesting the things that you take for granted in terms of how humans perceive the world.
Yeah. And I think it's just nice to not do something that is powered by like something digital. You just disconnect.
Okay. Okay.
So I would still say if a couple decides to do a puzzle thing on the weekday night, it's fine. As long as it is enjoyable.
A logical puzzle.
Logical.
Okay.
Yeah.
But yeah, speaking of puzzles, like a lot of puzzles to talk about, right? But before that, what do we always have to say?
That if you have been listening to this podcast or that you are listening to this for the first time and you enjoy it, it'd be great if you could share it with at least one other person. And follow us on social media, follow us on Spotify, leave a rating. It really helps this podcast grow. And on YouTube as well.
And if you want to work with us, email us at contact@ministryoffunny.com. A lot of interesting people have reached out to us for various things, and yeah, just keep doing it, I think we're always trying to find ways to work with different types of people.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yes.
All right. Jumping into the first and very heavy topic.
The elephant in the room.
Yeah. I mean, we are going to be talking about the current conflict that is going on in Israel and Gaza, which is horrific. And we were actually supposed to have a guest today. Because we are, recording this on 1st November, around noon. And every day things are changing.
Yeah.
And we kind of knew going into getting guests like this, there might be last minute changes, and there was this morning.
And I think we've also not jumped head first into this topic first.
Yeah.
Because it's very tragic, that's one. But also it's complex. It's a very complex topic that you kind of want to gather as much research and understanding of the conflict and the history behind it before you actually talk about it, right?
Yeah.
And ideally also get people who are vested in the region and everything to talk more about it, which is what we've been trying to do, and we've been reaching out to people to try and get them on. But because it's such a complicated topic, also it's not been easy, right?
Yeah, it hasn't. And it's also like what you said, right? Like there have been some, maybe say academics that have spoken out in Singapore and all, but yeah, like if you are studying the place, you haven't spent time on the ground, it really feels like it's different.
Yeah.
So as much as we are also going to talk about it, because we did so much research ahead of this interview, we're like, you know what?
Let's talk about it.
Let's just talk about it. It will be from the lens of like just a regular Singaporean and wondering how the hell to think about all this.
I think that's key.
Yeah.
Like, why should you as a Singaporean reading about this in the news and everything, why does it even concern you? Or why or maybe not concern you, but why are there so many people who seem to be quite heated about it even in Singapore, right? It's not, it has spilled over onto our media and our shores and everything also.
Yeah. But from your interactions with your friends and family and all, is it something that you think people are diving deep? We dive deep because of the nature of our work.
Yeah.
But the general person that you know?
I don't know about dive deep, but for sure, 100% is that everyone has heard about what is going on, and everyone kind of, they kind of in their minds have chosen a side, so to speak.
Yeah,
I'd say it's very hard to find a middle ground between the two, and everyone kind of has an opinion about it. So it's one of those things where maybe you could attribute it to social media or whatever, but everyone knows about it. It's not like during our time, even when we were, say, studying in the US or something, right? I think even when there was conflict between Lebanon and Israel and everything, you still felt kind of insulated from it, being all the way across the world, and even with friends, you said that you knew people who were literally going to fight the war and all that, right?
Yeah.
And I had Jewish American friends and all that, but even then, I never felt like that close to any of this news, but this time it feels different. It feels like everyone, even lay people also, like ourselves, have heard a lot and seen a lot about it,
Yeah. And it's been what, almost three weeks since the horrific the first horrific attack on October 7th, right?
By Hamas on Israel,
Yeah, by Hamas on Israel, which was just horrific. But since then, every day there are new things happening. Just this morning, I think last night, a refugee hospital was...
Refugee camp.
Refugee camp, in northern Gaza was bombed by Israel. And Israel has come out and said it was an attack by them because they were targeting one of the Hamas commanders, which now Hamas has refuted.
Yeah.
So I guess that's the struggle, that even if you try to find out, there are so many different angles. And when I talk to people, I know, like what you say, everybody has some sort of opinion, everybody has some sort of context, but I personally learned so much that I had no clue about. But I think I've always known Palestine and Israel have this ongoing conflict.
Yeah.
But after this happened, you dive into the history, and it's not just a history of like 100 years. Like the history can go back for as far as like you want, you know.
Yeah.
And it's so deep and now you just watch it. Yeah, it's just, I'm sure like for everyone, it's just tough to stomach.
Yeah. What was your immediate reaction when you first heard of what was happening on October 7th?
Definitely horrified. That could happen to that extent.
Yeah.
Of course, wondering, wait, what the hell has been happening the past few years? I mean, you always hear there's there's a evergreen, like the ongoing conflict.
Yeah.
And then every once in a while, it will explode into some deaths, right?
Yeah.
But this one was like crazy, and I won't deny that at the start it was okay. So it was Hamas, and like it was Hamas, and it is a terrorist attack, right? But the way you could foresee like Israel forces coming to go on the retaliation, right? It just felt like, oh shit, some shit is gonna go down. Yeah, and that was where I was confused. At that point, I was confused. Like, okay, this is a horrific act, but is that representative of all Palestinians? And then you see when you go online, it's one or the other. At least in the early start, in the early days. So that was for me at the start.
Yeah.
Yeah. For you?
I think it was quite shocking, quite horrific. Everything at the start, and I was just shocked by the number of videos coming through that were supposedly from Hamas itself, right? Like body camera videos of the what was happening, whether it's attacks on soldiers or attacks at the music festival, where a bunch of young people at the music festival were attacked in the early hours in the morning. They had nowhere to run. A lot of them were shot, or grenades thrown into bunkers that they were hiding in, things like that. A bunch of them also kidnapped and became hostages. Some of them, looks like the dead bodies were being paraded around in Gaza as well, pulled back into Gaza and paraded around. So, yeah, just really scary scenes, because these were people who were young people who were celebrating, I don't know, life or something. Nothing religious related or culturally or ethnically, ethnicity related, just celebrating at a music festival, electronic dance music like the Zouk out and typical stuff like that. And you see videos of paragliders coming in the distance from Gaza, right? Hamas fighters, and also rockets in the air, and then the music stopping and confusion. So yeah, these are situations that, less in music festivals, all that people have been in, normal people go to and celebrate and have fun and all that. But to suddenly become this like massacre is kind of scary, right? But I wanna, like you, one of the most shocking things for me was the whole thing just became politicized very quickly. Like I felt like there was barely even enough time to like even figure out what was going on, the casualty count, and how much of what we're seeing is real or fake and everything. And then already we were jumping into discussions of like history of the Israel-Palestine conflict and things like that, right? Which, even for people like us, we need to read a lot to get up to speed with. So yeah, that was the point where we did a lot of intense reading and watching videos and things like that, learning about the history and geography of the region. But just shocking that something so tragic, so barbaric an attack, right? Before even you talk about the victims and the families or the hostage situation, all that, it became a very polarized thing, about are you pro-Israel? Are you standing by Israel? Or are you standing with the Palestinians and everything, and people were just rushing to take sides already.
Yeah.
So that was quite shocking to me, because I mean, as far as I remember, when things like 9/11 or the Bali bombings happened, I don't think people rushed to like take sides or anything. It was all, especially on 9/11, right? A lot of it was like, oh god, this tragic, horrific, and it's like we stand by New York or stand by America or whatever, but this time it just felt much more like, oh, everyone's just rushing. They merely rushed to like, okay, take sides about it already. And even as we'll discuss, right, I think even the UN and everything also, the response was quite different from what I expected, lah. Yeah. Yeah.
So I mean, I recall 9/11. It was clearly a terrorist attack, right? In this case, I mean, the plight of the Palestinian people is it's horrible, right? Every time I read up, even now talking about it, it makes me think like, fuck. Yesterday, I was getting annoyed at filling up a puzzle.
Yeah.
You know, I was just like, what the hell is that is the challenge I faced last night.
Yeah.
I went to bed thinking, fuck this blue puzzle thing, you know.
We quote the esteemed scholar, Nas Daily, who said, we're crybabies. You know, the things that Singaporeans are complaining about.
Yeah.
Crybabies compared to what people are experiencing.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And then even this morning last night, you see the videos of things going on. It's just horrible. I think the bomb attack, right?
Yeah.
So, but going back to what you said, immediately became politicized, and I remember thinking like, oh shit, can you even express your views or confusion publicly, you know? Because it was either pro-Israel, pro-Palestine. Then you start seeing countries ban certain rallies. You start seeing certain
in Singapore, right?
Yeah,
Singapore also.
Singapore banned, but I think France, they started off by banning just pro-Palestinian rallies first. And then you see some educators. I think there was a Cornell professor, kind of talking at
celebrating
the massacre of the Israelis on campus. And then you see protests happening everywhere, and of course, when you see the pictures that are coming out about the state of Palestinians in Gaza, it is, I think it's only a human feeling to feel like, oh fuck, their lives are shit, you know. But then, because it became so binary in the public eye, even if you express some compassion there, you could be labeled pro-Palestine. Right. Then it became a very confusing thing. But Hamas is a terrorist group. They are the Palestinian people. But then the Palestinian people voted for Hamas in 2006. But then also, was it a fair election? Then everything becomes like this onion that you have to just peel and peel. Even between you and I, we had differing opinions. Between me and my wife, everyone has opinions that thankfully have evolved over time. But it's just, even today, you ask me, I don't even know how to think about all this.
And that's why it's quite interesting, because I think Singapore has taken quite a middle ground stance on it, right? At the same time, I think it's going to be debated in next week's parliamentary sitting, because it is a very important thing that there's a lot of tension in the air, especially from the Muslim population in Singapore, right? Basically feeling for the brothers in Palestine, right? I think if anything, the Prime Minister Lee Hsien Loong has also made some very clear statements already, which I think is worth just as quickly covering. I mean, definitely they Singapore government condemns the Hamas attacks as a terrorist attack, very brutal, illegal terrorist attacks. But it also confirms Israel's right to self-defense, right? For based on what's happening. But in exercising the right, the PM Lee has said that they need to follow international law and address the humanitarian concerns that arise. They do, obviously they want the best for Israel as a country, but also they call for restraint, right? In how they're retaliating to the attack. I think he acknowledged that the Muslim population in Singapore is agitated. And they do wish that there's more compassion, and they do wish and they do have more compassion for Palestinians who are going through what they're going through. But he still reiterated that it's sensible for Singapore to maintain relations with both Israel and Palestine, and to provide humanitarian support to both countries if needed, right? Which I think Singapore has. We've donated $300,000 to the Palestine humanitarian efforts. And Singapore's long-term stance is that we need to follow a two-state solution for Israel and Palestine. But even PM Lee acknowledged that it seems like it's very far off, but he's hoping that it can happen. So that's, as far as I know, is about the official line of Singapore.
And I mean, even as of yesterday, Singapore voted in support of the UN resolution that called for humanitarian assistance and a humanitarian truce for the Israel-Hamas conflict. And this is, I mean, I thought this was quite interesting.
But with caveats also, like with caveats.
Which were what? Caveats?
I think one, that the resolution did not condemn the October 7th attacks. I think that's one aspect of it.
I think that one. Wait, the resolution did not condemn?
Yeah.
What do you mean?
As in the resolution did not outright condemn the attacks on October 7th.
Yeah. So that means it was more calling for what it is now, right?
What do you mean?
No, as in like it did not condemn.
Yeah, it did not. The resolution did not condemn. Singapore voted in favor of the UN resolution, but said that it also omitted two very important things, lah.
As in the resolution omitted, lah.
Yeah. They regret that the resolution omitted those two things, two glaring, and they said literally two glaring significant omissions. It doesn't mention Hamas's role in perpetrating the October 7th terror attacks. And what was the other aspect? I wanted to pull it up. Sorry.
But while you pull it up, so basically, I think Singapore's just clarifying that is also important, because I think it's hard to not condemn what Hamas did, because when you see interviews and there are a lot of reasons to highlight the plight of the Palestinians, but just from the interviews, whenever there is almost like a refusal to kind of admit that it was an act of terror, that's when the interviews go south,
Yeah.
Right, because it becomes a thing. Then it becomes like, okay, this has been happening the other way for many years, so it is like a balanced retaliation, which I mean, for us in Singapore, we've never faced anything like this. It's almost hard to comprehend, where lives lost are compared across different time frames and time years, as not to say apples to apples comparison, but they're just compared.
Yeah, correct. Yeah.
And I mean, another thing that was interesting is that PM Lee met Anwar Ibrahim, I think yesterday, at an event, and Malaysia, especially Anwar, has been very vocal in support of Palestine.
Yeah.
In fact, I think there's no Israeli embassy in Malaysia, right? But yet they could meet, and PM Lee, they both highlighted that it shouldn't affect relations between both countries.
Yeah.
And that's why, you're saying from the Singaporean perspective, right? I mean, for any country, I guess, much more a smaller country, you start thinking, whenever there's a border conflict, right? I think every country is just like, oh shit, this is scary,
Yeah. Because it could happen to you.
Yeah, because it could happen to you. But even then, why this topic is so politicized is because even for the UN resolution, there were 121 votes in favor, one of which was Singapore. There were 14 against and 44 abstentions. So then it also makes you wonder, who voted against and why,
Yeah. So to clarify, Singapore did vote in support of it, but it pointed out it had two glaring and significant omissions. One, as I mentioned, was did not mention Hamas's role in perpetrating the massive and coordinated terror attacks of October 7th. And second is that this resolution does not acknowledge Israel's legitimate right to defend its citizens and territory in compliance with international law. So like what PM Lee had said before. But yeah, it's and I think there was a huge uproar by the Israeli contingent at the UN, right? Calling for the UN Secretary General to step down.
Yeah.
Because, basically the Secretary General was just basically focusing on the breaching of international law by alleged breaches of international law by the Israeli Defense Forces, right?
And also, if I recall, he's Antonio Guterres, right?
Guterres, yeah.
If I recall, I'll need to double check. Even during his speech, he kind of mentioned that, okay, the attack happened, but he gave the context about how the Palestinians have been suffering for years.
Yeah.
I know I'm paraphrasing, but I remember listening to that. I was like, for a UN chief to say that, it is also a bit surprising, and I guess that's what you were saying was surprising, right?
Yeah, that was surprising. Because I mean, the one of the things that I merely reached out to find in the immediate aftermath of October 7th attacks was just accounts from families or of families of the hostages, anything like that, right? And chilling, the stories are chilling. The story of the family that was like cooped up in the rocket shelter, and then the terrorists came and tried to burn down the house around them to sort of smoke them out. Like how we talk about army, right? Smoke them out, and they literally were talking about having to hold the infant at the window, at a bulletproof window, like for a few seconds at a time, just to breathe clean air, and then pull her back in, when they started getting shot at again. Or even just stories of the people who were at the music festival who, they lost friends that it was just meant to be a weekend of partying, and they ended up losing friends, or hiding in trees for hours at a time, trying to hide from people trying to shoot them, right? So none of these, it seems like these stories have kind of got lost in the larger political conflict that's going on, and that's really tragic, right?
But now on the flip side, since those early days, if you look at what's been happening in the news, there was like ridiculous amounts of air raids, right, by Israel. There was apparently, and I believe it has been verified, but I think so, the use of phosphorus bombs.
I don't know. Not sure if it's been verified.
Okay, so then let's leave that out, right? The thing is, there has been the ground invasion has started. You can talk about like the sources of images and all, but like there is so much visuals of the havoc that is being wreaked across Palestine, across Gaza. And I think at the time of recording now, 1,400 people have been killed in Israel, but 8,525 Palestinians have been killed in Gaza since October 7th. And that is the bigger question now. Like, okay, you have a right to defend yourself, but what to what extent? And then it becomes a complicated thing. Like, I know certain people on Piers Morgan's YouTube channel who has, for all you criticize Piers Morgan, I think we've mentioned it. He's brought on a very diverse range of guests. I mean, there have been some sentiments shared by, I think, Cenk from the Young Turks, who's running for the presidential elections in the US, also saying that, is this the best way to go about, where it's air raids and like just almost like tearing down areas of Gaza Strip as opposed to sending in the special forces, like a much more surgical approach. Who knows, right? Who knows? But then if you look now, it's just, you look at everything, the hospitals and the people, unfortunately, who are suffering all wars, the civilians. You're just like, oh my God, what the fuck's gonna happen from now on?
I think the peace looks very far away, which is something interesting. That one thing that I've also seen a lot of, I think we've both seen a lot of, is that there's a lot of chatter that even from like the Israeli ambassador to the UK, that the hope was that when Israel pulled out of the Gaza Strip in 2005, the hope was that Gaza would, or like it would develop into kind of like a Singapore of the Middle East. I think there was a lot of hope that it would become a very prosperous, state by itself and everything. But the reverse has happened, right? And it's just, I guess Singapore is very interesting for them as well because of the multiculturalism and the multiracialism in Singapore. Mosques and temples and churches all within, a few hundred meters vicinity of each other. And everyone celebrating festivals together and all that. And we've spoken about this, right? Where Singaporeans, sometimes we take for granted that this is the normal state of affairs. But in a lot of places, neighbors can't get along, right? Neighbors can't get along, and what they can hope and pray that one day it'll be like kind of like Singapore, where they're all side by side happily. But right now, it just seems so far away that it seems like a pipe dream to say that Gaza could one day be like Singapore, like that of the Middle East, right?
Yeah. And I mean, the sad thing is like one thing that I've been trying to do, which, I mean, last time, even when we did the dark comedy about terrorism, we did go down the path of researching how terrorist organizations come about. How militant insurgencies come about. And if you look at the history of Hamas, it's also not like it goes back a lot further lah. And then of course there's a lot of conspiracy theories about who was responsible for Hamas, but I think it's also important to understand that war in general, it's almost kind of like there are people who benefit from war, there are people who don't benefit from war. There are people who benefit from conflict, there are people who don't benefit from conflict. But the single thing that is true across all wars is that regular people get fucked.
Yeah.
And then, I mean, there's a lot of like things to dig into the history, because I think it's important, even whichever guest we bring on, like we need to focus on the present, but also before people form their opinions. It's just there are many other things to consider.
Yeah. I think right now, beyond just this literally physical war that they're fighting, right? There's an information war going on as well.
Yeah.
You can see the number of press conferences and everything that the Israeli Defense Forces are putting together. You can go to their YouTube channel or their TikTok or Instagram and see them, they're making videos about female soldiers at the battlefront, they're making videos about why certain things are fake. Like, I think that, there was an alleged rocket attack on the hospital, right? That was blamed by Hamas, blamed Israel, but Israel said that it was actually a militant group that did it and everything, right?
Yeah.
So there's a lot of there's an information war going on. People saying that the other side is providing misinformation or lying even about something like civilian casualty numbers. And honestly, now, I really don't know what's the truth in some of these things, because you realize that both sides have a vested interest in, downplaying certain aspects of what they're doing or what they're not doing,
Yeah.
And it's getting tougher and tougher to like so definitively say, this side is right and this side is wrong and all that, right? But in general, when you talk to people in Singapore, what is there? Do you feel like there's a percentage split that you can actually discern between pro Israel or pro Palestine or what?
I would say about half.
Half. Okay.
Yeah, half. Which I mean, sometimes I haven't gone deep with anyone.
Yeah.
And I also haven't been asking that many people. Like, let's say presidential election. That one was asking everyone. This one, that one was like, hey, meet at the bus stop also, just like ask. But this one is different. But I would say it's about half.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, which I also feel like it shouldn't be binary, right? I think one thing, you can condemn Hamas, you can empathize with the Palestinians, you can maybe like talk about Israel's efforts and the scale of their efforts.
Yeah.
And there's no one answer, but for you?
For me, I there's nothing scientific about what I'm about to say, but there's a very esteemed person on the internet who did a sort of a kind of non-scientific study on this. So basically, her name is Xia Xue. She did an Instagram poll about whose side do you support. And she gave two choices, Israel or Palestine. And if I recall correctly from that poll, I didn't participate in it, but I saw the results. It was like quite overwhelmingly like in favor of Palestine. Of those two options, right? Like I would say like 70-30 or something like that. Maybe it changed over more time, I don't know. But that's what I saw at the point in time on Instagram stories. Not that Xia Xue's channel or page is like a barometer for how Singapore thinks, but just putting out there that a lot of people on the street, right, who might follow Xia Xue and all that, that's what the sentiment is.
Yeah. I mean, I can imagine if you spend time on social media, and I mean, even for like, I think anyone who sees pictures of what's going on in Gaza, you can't help but feel for the Palestinians.
Yeah.
Right. Though I have met some people who feel very strongly that Israel needs to do all they can to, even at the sacrifice of some people in Gaza, which I don't agree with.
Some.
And I mean, then it becomes the bigger question, right? You were saying like for the Israeli POV, even in Singapore, there's a lot more communication being put out, right? Even for us, we wanted to get, as we always do, like balanced perspectives. But finding people who can speak with experience or information about the Palestinian POV is damn hard. Right? Singapore, we don't recognize Palestine as a country, right?
Do we not?
No, I don't think so.
But Palestine, but we send condolences letters. Like our president has sent condolence letters to Mahmoud Abbas,
No, correct. Because we have a non-resident representative of Singapore to Palestine.
Okay.
But we don't have a Palestinian embassy, for example.
No embassy, but that still means you recognize, right?
Actually, okay, we can fact check it, but there is a Israeli embassy in Singapore. And like a few days ago, at a doorstop interview, Shanmugam said something about he explained why Singapore has banned rallies.
Yeah.
For either cause, right?
Yeah.
And at first I thought, hey, that's like, what about freedom of expression and all? But I actually can see the benefit of that, right?
Yeah.
And then he talked about online posts, people that are free to express their own opinions, but it shouldn't be in seditious or inciting violence, right?
Yeah.
And then you look at certain posts by, say, the Israeli embassy. I'm looking at one that was posted a week ago, as of 1st November. It's a reel of like some of the Hamas attackers, and then the caption is, "He will pay, they will all pay."
Yeah.
And if you go down their posts, some of it is like I would say scary, especially this is the Israeli embassy in Singapore.
Yeah.
And it takes but again, right, like, we are not a country who have experienced what they have experienced. When I look at it, and then when I hear Shanmugam say, okay, the post shouldn't be inciting violence and all, then I feel like, oh, but these posts are
very emotional, right?
Yeah, very emotional.
Yeah. To verify, Singapore, Singapore does not recognize the state of Palestine.
Yeah, it does not recognize. They have a non-resident ambassador to Palestine.
Yeah.
But they don't recognize
But Singapore very strongly advocates the two-state solution.
Yeah,
right.
Which I mean, I think generally feels like the most realistic thing, even though we feel very far from that, right?
Yeah.
But basically finding people who are getting access to actual Palestinians who've been in Gaza or the West Bank is damn hard.
Yeah. So, why do you think Singaporeans should, what can they take from this? I won't say whether it's support or whatever, but what can they take from this? Obviously, the good thing is that there's some even ground-up efforts. I think a lot of Singaporeans want to help the humanitarian efforts. So the money has been raised and donated. And I think there are people who are posting about it and who are wanting to organize rallies and stuff like that, right? But I actually do feel that it can actually really fan the flames of tension. Some of these rallies and all that, especially earlier on, right? It's very tricky, and the truth is, from what you're seeing online, that there's no simple answer to any of these questions that even Piers Morgan or these other interviewers are all asking either, right? So I think it's really prudent to really have for the government to talk about it in Parliament. Really clearly state what the official stand of Singapore is, to make sure, put no doubt in people's minds about what Singapore does. I mean, you can have your conspiracy theories and all, but I think it's important to just state up front what our position is and make it very clear to everyone. But then, so that's it. Like, what should Singaporeans, although it's a very far away conflict and doesn't affect us directly, what can they take away from this, or what should they do to know more about it?
I mean, I think the knowing more, like, don't spend too much time on one particular news source. I think that's something that's been helpful for me. Because if you go on YouTube or anything, it will just recommend you a lot more. Even though Piers Morgan, I think I watched almost all his interviews. From there, just trying to get different perspectives, because even some of like Al Jazeera or some of the Saudi Arabian newspapers also do pretty good interviews. But I think, going back to what you said as a Singaporean, I think, like, for me is you really cannot take what we have for granted. The fact that
it's an NDP moment.
Yeah, man. Like, it's just it's just like you look at it and you're thinking, first of all, like, if people living in constant fear,
Yeah.
For us, we hear all these sirens like the 6 p.m. National Total Defense siren, and it's all like how you say, in preparation for shit that goes south, lah. But then you look at that, you're like, oh my god, this, and you read up about the history. It's been happening for so long. That's one thing, and then the second thing is also, how you say, not put a blanket on people based on like just something they express. And I think in Singapore, where even online you're seeing a lot of people go one way or the other, that can be dangerous.
Yeah.
Where you see someone post something and you assume that they totally believe like everything that party is doing. And it might not be the case. It's just you're doing an Insta story and all is one aspect of your opinion. Yeah, you don't know about the rest.
Yeah.
But for you?
Yeah, that's the funny thing, right? I see a lot of the comments on posts by I think Halimah Yacob put up a post about it. Taman put up a post about it. Ho Ching put up a post about it, comparing Gaza to Singapore and all. And you see the comments, a lot of it is like basically people saying, you don't know enough about the history. You go and read up. So both sides calling each other out for not knowing enough about the history or the truth and everything. So at this point, like, even if you do a lot of research and think you know the truth, there will be people who will be calling you out and saying that you don't really know the full picture, right? And I mean, for me, ultimately, it really boiled down to the stories of the people who are suffering, right? Whether you're Israeli or Palestine, a lot of children, a lot of innocent victims, and all that. And that's the ultimate tragedy, right? And that's what can happen when wars, when there's conflict, when there's information wars going on and all. And you just have to be very careful about that. If you see people around you who are getting very riled up, very polarized about certain issues, right? I mean, I think it's worth talking to them a little bit, just questioning their beliefs a little bit about certain things. Because even you and I also, where it started October 7th to now, I think our views also have been informed a lot by what each of us have been watching or reading and then sending to each other and all as well, right?
Yeah.
I think we need to do more of that, lah. And why this? I think, and why this is also relevant for Singapore also is because our history not that long ago, there was unrest in Singapore where people believed that the formation of the Federation of Malaya, for example, was a new colonial move, and there were like the McDonald House bombings as a result, terrorist attacks, basically terrorist attacks in Singapore. So Singapore is not immune from this kind of things. It's not that we've never seen this kind of things in our history. It's just that I think since that period of time, we've just been very determined as well to make sure we don't go down that path, right? Of sectarian or religious or ethnic violence or anything like that.
Because unfortunately, in conflicts like this, religion is a part of it.
Yeah.
Ethnicity is a part of it.
Yeah.
And it just becomes like just makes you think everything you understand about relationships or even power dynamics and all. It's just, I mean, who knows? Like, today's 1st November. Unfortunately, the holiday season, chances are this is not going to end quickly.
No, yeah.
Right? Then you look at like Ukraine, Russia, Israel, Palestine, and you just wonder, oh my god, like this. Yeah, it's just sad. It's just sad.
Yeah,
it's just sad. And I mean, like, it is very important to us that we really do try to get perspectives from people who have been on the ground or who have a lot more of an insight than we can ever have. So we are still trying to get guests on. And if you know anyone who might be an interesting guest for us, might share perspectives to help us and you guys learn or just understand a bit more of a diverse opinion, please do let us know. Yeah.
But yes, in the vein of like information wars and everything, our next topic is about the veracity or trying to find the truth behind a photo that was taken in Indonesia that has ruffled quite a lot of feathers. And what is this? What is the story about?
it's like the similar theme about the accuracy of the photos, but this is just like
Yeah. A bit
it's just,
more.
I mean, the show, like, we do want to end off on something a bit lighter hearted. And yeah, this news of a winner of an international photography contest who beat out more than 500,000 submissions to win this competition with a picture showing an Indonesian coffee shop. And she's been accused that it was staged in a studio. Yeah, and the whistleblower is actually a studio owner in Bogor. Who is requesting anonymity. Who told This Week in Asia that the photographer's picture was taken during a promo event.
For Fujifilm.
Yeah, you look at the picture, it's like there's like people smoking around and like playing I guess a game while drinking coffee.
Hard game, right? Yeah.
So, and the whistleblower himself, I think, uploaded a picture from another angle of that same promo event. So then it's a thing like, okay, the photo objectively is still a good photo.
Yeah.
Is there anything wrong if it was staged?
I think the saying it's staged is kind of it's a photo taken of people in an environment that looks like a coffee shop, right? And I think the context is that a lot of times camera companies and all, when they have new product launches of lenses or cameras, a lot of times they will invite photographers or content creators to come down and try out these new things. And a lot of times, in order to have something for them to try the camera and lenses on, because at the end of the day, these are the point of these devices is to take photos, right?
Yeah.
They have to set up some kind of interesting thing for them to shoot. A lot of times it's a model, sometimes a dancer, and then it's nice lighting and everything. So in this situation, you can say that they set up what looks like a coffee shop, and they probably got actors. I mean, based on what this studio owner is saying, got actors to come in and they did, set design, and they even did the lighting, all that to make it look so good. And a photographer comes in, uses a camera, takes the photo, right? But the good thing is everything's set up already, so they don't even need to like direct or anything. The actors are all just there. So essentially, he or she took it's a she, right? The winner.
Yeah, she.
She took the photo and submitted it for a competition and won a lot of prizes. So can you begrudge her for anything?
I mean, like, okay, so when this thing won, right? Basically the name of, or the theme of the contest was "Our World is Beautiful."
Yes.
Right. So the jury came to a clear conclusion as this shot shows how joy comes to life when people come together in their community to share the beauty of their world in a moment. The photographer has elicited something very special from the scene and brought the mood of the moment to life through the quality of the photo we see. And it goes on about like, immersing the viewer within a depicted scene. Reading this makes it like, I don't know if you took literature in secondary school.
Yeah.
You know, like you read a paragraph, especially let's say for a book where the author is no longer around.
Yeah.
And you almost ascribe meaning to this. Man, who knows, man? What the fuck the person was thinking when they wrote it?
Yeah.
And this one, it feels like, they're talking, this is like that. There was one YouTube video last time, I think this guy went around giving like sliced up McDonald's chicken nuggets as hors d'oeuvres at like a food festival, and everyone was like, oh, this is amazing, I can tell the quality of the free range chicken.
Yeah.
So so reading this, I think is not cool.
It's not cool on the part of the
photographer.
I see.
Yeah, for you?
I think it says more about the competition. The organizers of the competition, that they so want to see Asian or Indonesian society in this context, and that's what they think going to Asia is about, coffee shop and old people sitting around playing card games and all that kind of thing. They're so eager to capture that they're so eager to reaffirm that is their view of what Asia is, that they awarded a cash prize to someone who captured this moment without even realizing or thinking that maybe, if you really wanted to capture what is the typical Indonesian moment, maybe it's something a bit more modern, right? Not so old school looking and all that. But we talk about neocolonialism and all that. This kind of is that kind of view, and maybe the more Western view of what Asia is always supposed to look like, right? And it's quite funny because I think there are photographers who, the photographer who provided a photo of what the set was where they shot it. And you go to his Instagram account and it's all the photos. He's got a whole bunch of photos that are in that style, right? Of idealized moments of idealized candid moments between old looks like Indonesians in coffee shop and all that. And I'm like, even if you're the organizer, you look at it, the lighting is so perfect and so the props and everything just looks so clean, and the colors, all that are also perfect. Doesn't it just raise some eyebrows like, hey, is this even a real representation?
I mean, when Prince William came to Singapore last time, remember they made all the old people exercise at the exercise corner?
Yeah, and shout out to, I think, was it But Then Ho or what? Who said that during that time she wanted to laugh. When that was happening, she wanted to laugh because they got kids to play 5 stone and 0 point at the playground, which is like, in 2012, I don't think anyone is playing 0 point anymore.
But that one, the Singapore government, okay, right? The Singapore government, it was shown to the world, all okay.
But 2012 was pre-social media, so it's not as widespread and ridiculous now. Whereas if you try to pull something like that today, like when Prince William comes and does that, I think people will just laugh you all the way to the back.
Yeah, true. There'll be someone who will leak the behind the scenes.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. But I mean, I'm on their website, and basically just some FAQs about the photo award. What is the photo award? Apparently, it's the world's largest photo competition. The theme is Our World is Beautiful.
Yeah.
When you ask which photos can I submit, they're like, let's see. This means no photos generated by artificial intelligence, for example. Participant must own unrestricted copyrights, must be unaltered and in a realistic manner.
Yeah.
And it must fit the themes of the choice of category of the composition.
Yeah.
But they never say anything about you cannot stage.
Yeah. Exactly.
You cannot stage. So technically, she didn't do anything wrong, what?
No, but I mean, but they did. Okay, firstly, she won the prize, which was a holiday worth like 15,000 USD.
Oh, yeah.
7,500 euros worth of photography equipment and more products. But apparently the board member of the organization that organized the competition said in a statement that the winning photo conveyed an authentic glimpse into everyday life in Indonesia. So I mean, it's very clear here that the board also got bamboozled, thinking that this was a authentic slice of everyday life. So if I were the board, I would say that, we've been deceived, right?
So then it'd be the equivalent if, like, in Singapore got four people, 2 women, 2 male, Chinese, Malay, Indian, and others eating nasi lemak.
Rojak.
Eating rojak.
Authentic slice of life in Singapore.
No, then got Chinese rojak, Indian rojak, and then like the Malay equivalent, then the Eurasian dish. And that is how people eat in Singapore.
Every meal you need something from each of our major races. Yeah.
So this kind of thing. I mean, maybe as you read how much they are waxing lyrical about this.
Our world is beautiful.
Our world is beautiful. So
maybe, I mean, it's a great social experiment. It almost reminds me of that social experiment where that German duo, comedic duo, like faked a Ryan Gosling. They literally put a fake Ryan Gosling at a German awards show.
Oh, that was fucking great.
And the point was to show how these awards shows are so full of shit, right? Like they will just give awards to anybody as long as they're celebrities, right?
Yeah.
And that was a great, great prank. Maybe this is something like that, like you just, all these like stupid themes are like, our world is beautiful. Like this, the photographer just clowned it by like staging something that is completely unrealistic, right?
What the fuck, man?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, so in general, like, would you fault the photographer or the organizer?
I would say there's an ethical thing about photography. It's not illegal, right? But there's an ethics thing to it, that you don't, if you are entering it for a competition, and even if it's not outright said that it's not meant to be staged and all that, if it's staged, I think you it's something that you should put out there that it's staged, that this is not reality as it is. In the same vein that, if you use Photoshop and all that, right, that in some way is altering reality, right, and passing it off as a real thing. And in this day and age, with AI and all that, I think I said it like the last time we talked about AI was that about AI just, faking, using chatbots and all, pretending to be humans, pretending to be human customer service officers and all that is leading us down a very dangerous path, right? Where we're literally trying to trick each other into believing that you're talking to a human, where actually it's just a robot, ask Jamie, that nonsense. It's a freaking like bot, right? Why do you need to pretend to be humans? There can be, if you want to, there can be a whole separate category of film awards for stage photos, or photography awards for stage photos, or photography award for AI generated photos. But I think if you really want to talk about slice of life or that, as a photographer, you need to try and have these ethical boundaries for yourself. Yeah, so I would say, obviously the competition is not great at, fact checking and making sure that the photos are sourced properly, but it starts at the photographer itself.
So you think like you believe in like people's ethics, Terence?
I want to believe, I try to be optimistic that we can rise above like just wanting
staging photos.
Wanting to just win at all costs and everything. Yeah.
Actually, the more we talk about it, the more I think the organizers need to step up. Because you think about even athletics or martial arts, everybody's allowed to compete, but there are doping tests, right? So even in this case, if you shortlist this winner, just do a check.
Yeah.
If you maybe they don't believe in the need to even differentiate between staged and not staged.
Yeah.
So if they don't feel the need to differentiate, then okay lah. But if they also agree to the ethics that you mentioned, which I also agree, especially if you're talking about the beauty of the world.
Yeah.
Oh no, the world is beautiful. Just do a check.
Yeah. But it reminds me of an incident that time when I was in France at a very small film festival, and then there was a Singapore film playing in the festival, which I went to watch. It was Perth, the movie Perth, and I went to watch to support Singapore film, and the filmmakers were there also, interestingly. So I was watching it, and then after that there was a Q&A with the largely French audience there. And the Q&A, I think a French person stood up and was like, I saw that scene. There was this deity, Indonesian deity that you used on the table in the scene and all that. And I just wanted to understand, are you trying to say something about the Indonesian culture and all these things? Then I think the filmmaker Jin, right? And he was there and with his team, and they all just looked at each other like what the hell is this guy talking about? But I mean, that's basically a lot of Westerners' view about Asia, we are this monolithic culture and everything Asian all intertwines with each other, and Japanese can relate to Koreans and Koreans can relate to Singaporeans, and we all eat each other's cuisine.
And every table must have a deity. Every table got deity.
And our deities all know each other and everything. They're all friends and they're all each other's friend list. But it's not the case. We're all very different cultures and all. So it's just funny how this Westerner was watching a Singaporean film and then suddenly brought in Indonesian culture into this whole thing as well.
So then what did they respond?
I think they just try to be if I remember correctly, they just were very polite about it and just like, oh yeah, actually it's a very common deity in Singapore culture, but it's nothing to do with Indonesia. But yeah, that cracked me up. Yeah.
Oh man. But yeah.
But yes.
Interesting.
That's the world we're in. But yes,
cool.
What is maybe moving on to better things, what is your one Shiok comment?
My one Shiok comment, let's see. There was a comment from, I guess, someone who has just joined Reddit. Yes, so they said it's a comment on Reddit by Funny Chris 1981.
Yes.
Title is Loved Your Podcast, and comment is new to this Reddit, but this podcast has brought countless hours of entertainment. Cannot begin to tell you how many times I had my day brightened up listening to you guys. I also love the way you keep bringing your perspective to current affairs with a touch of good old humor. Well done, guys. Keep it up. Fuck yeah, man. Thanks so much for your comment, man.
Yeah.
It means a lot.
Yeah.
That's my one Shiok comment.
My one Shiok comment is from Reddit as well. A comment on the episode that we did with Xenia and Farah. Saying from ZZ Way, just love how Xenia just zoned out when Harish talks about sports. Finally, the two bros got to see the reactions when they talk about BTO topics like NS and soccer.
BTO topics? What's BTO topics?
I don't know actually, but I guess what they're saying is that maybe you and I are just not self-aware of how bored people get when we talk about NS and soccer.
Oh, is it?
Yeah. Just that there was Xenia right here, sitting here, and maybe the camera was trained on her face, and it was just like, it's very easy to tell how bored she
she's
was.
zoned out. I'm going to check it, man.
Yeah. But he said, but Zizi also says, Farah and Xenia balance out the yin and yang, which is a super entertaining episode of talking about ghosts. Yeah.
Nice.
But
now, I know this is not a one show comment, but I think we can also talk about the results of the survey.
Oh,
poll,
yes.
Right?
Yes, that's right.
No, not the audience survey, which we will do. It's more about the poll.
Oh, yeah,
Reddit.
the poll. Yeah.
Yeah, you know, who embellishes more.
Yeah, who embellishes more. Yeah.
You can see the results, right?
The results are out on Reddit. And there were 15 votes. And it was 10 votes to 5 of Harish being the bigger embellisher.
I fucking refute this. This is bullshit.
Which four of your relatives do you get to vote for
these
me?
people... My wife, her dad, my mom, and her mom.
Yeah.
No, because these people haven't seen through your bullshit, Terrence. I know you so long that I know your embellishment is very insidious, man.
Oh, is it?
Yeah. And then people fucking accuse, you might want to check the poll settings. I tried to vote for Harish, and the Reddit app immediately responded, error, please try again. That is fake news, okay? Jungle Jimbo 88. Fake news.
So, I mean, all I have to say is the 453 episodes that we've recorded speaks for itself.
That's bullshit.
This is as objective as it gets already.
Bullshit.
And Harish still refuses to acknowledge the truth. So, I mean, common theme of what we're talking about today, information wars, right?
Nonsense. But yes.
But yeah.
Our one Shiok thing. Do you have your one Shiok thing?
My one Shiok thing. Oh, actually, I was a lot of interesting Halloween costumes in the last couple of days, right? I think over the weekend, everyone was dressed up for Halloween, and you know, we had some friends, mutual friends who first time celebrating Halloween like post-COVID in Singapore, who were very shocked by the how people were dressed up like Clark Key and everything, right? And I think you saw a lot of influencers all dressed up like crazy. But I feel like the funniest Halloween costume I saw was remember I had one Shiok thing about the new NBA rookie Victor Wembanyama, this really freakishly tall person and everything. So he turned up for his Halloween match. Because they all dress up in their Halloween costumes and then they arrive for the game at the arena. So being a freakishly tall character, he did the perfect costume for anyone who's freakishly tall. He came as Slender Man.
Oh, shit.
And it was great just watching him like walk the arena because he's just so awkward looking. He's so tall and long.
Again?
Slender Man.
Victor
Wembanyama.
That was his costume.
That was his costume. He played Slender Man, which is like, I don't know, it's such a great costume when it's so, yeah, at least he's self-aware of like how long he is and all. So yeah, that was my one Shiok thing. It made me chuckle. Yes. And what was your favorite Halloween costume, man?
I actually didn't see that many this year, actually.
Really?
Yeah.
Even when you go on your Instagram deep dives, while sitting in the toilet and stalking all the young influencers, you don't see
don't you see? Okay, this is an exact example of your insidious embellishment. That is completely false. Okay, completely false. I do plan to just see what people dress up with, because I'm guessing this weekend also people will dress up, right?
No, it's done already. Done. It's only last weekend, yeah.
But Victor Wembanyama as Slenderman is fucking freaky.
Freaky.
Holy shit.
Yeah.
But yeah, so my one Shiok thing was something that was shared in the Yalabat subreddit as well. It was a video of Hassan Minhaj's response.
Oh, to the
New Yorker article.
Yeah.
And I mean, he did it like one of the episodes of his Patriot Act, which was a lot of detail. But I mean,
so just talking about embellishment, this is the king of embellishment.
Yeah, I still disagree with some of the approaches he took, where he said, there is the Hassan Minhaj comedian, there is the Hassan Minhaj host of the Patriot Act, and he wasn't aware of the line kind of crossing, he acknowledges that. And he did also say certain things that he kind of I think, for example, when he was talking about being rejected for his prom because of race, in his stand-up special, he said it happened at the door of the girl's house. But in actual fact, it didn't. But he said to play up the emotion, he built that situation. But it is a bit misleading. But he also shared audio excerpts from the New Yorker interview that showed that they also didn't do the best job of reporting.
Oh, is it? I haven't actually seen the video, but
so you look at it like,
in what way did they not do the best job?
I think one thing, for example, they were kind of talking about how, so even the girl that he kind of said, rejected him because of race.
Yeah.
Apparently they have a very good friendship over a few years, and in the article it said that he wanted to go to her wedding to just like crash it or something, but he showed a screenshot of the invite that she sent him over email, and she also said that like my parents grew out of what their perspectives were previously or something, which alludes to them not wanting her to go because of race lah.
But apparently she married an Indian person or something, right?
So in his email, he also said, I'm glad, like, I believe you because you did the one thing that shows that you are not a racist, like you made. So that email exchange all was there. And he showed excerpts and I was like, I disagree with some of the approaches he took, but then the New Yorker article also not the most objective lah. Yeah, so I think it's worth a watch lah. It's just a watch. You can watch twice, two speed.
Yeah, I was already writing it off already, but now that you said that the article is a bit iffy, I'll go check it out.
A bit like, so still I would say I don't agree with some things he did, but it's also not as maybe one-sided as I thought last time lah.
Information was.
Yeah, information was embellishing. But yes, cool.
Wow, tough one to get through.
Tough one to get through.
It's in the topic stuff.
But yeah, thanks everybody for listening as always, and we'll talk to y'all soon. Oh, and just follow us on social media, share, subscribe, tell people about us if you enjoyed it, and we'll talk to y'all soon.